Hello everyone and welcome back to Timberborn. This is episode 19 of the road to 1000 beavers. Jumping straight into it, in the end of the last episode, I asked you guys to help name the third district, and I had several good submissions. It was pretty hard to choose, but in the end, Dax and Jones came up with my favorite name, Twigtop Ridge, and so that is going to be the official name of District 3. And as we kick off today's episode, a quick progress update on how many beavers we have. We just had a lot of beavers born in the night. So now we have 451 occupied beds. So we're a mere 50 beds away from reaching 500 beavers. And so I'll steadily try and add some houses into the districts throughout the episode. So we can start it off by placing a couple of them right here. And as I mentioned in the last episode, I do want to work on expanding this ridge over here, since we need to have some area that we can work on production. Right now we have a bunch of these lumber mills that are powered by beaver power. But we are also simultaneously working on getting some power shafts over here. And as you can see, it extends quite a ways over here. This is where the power source is. All of these water wheels, they are being powered by bad water. And they're producing almost 10,000 HP, but they're only using a quarter of that. And we are almost done expanding the power shafts. The next thing we're going to do is get some power shafts going vertically. And then we can have them go on a bridge across this bad water river. And then we'll connect them into the area where we end up setting up our production facilities. We can start laying some of the groundwork for these dirt blocks over here, and that gives the beavers plenty of things to work on in this district. We have quite a bit of dirt overall in this world. Unfortunately, not much of it is in this district. We have about 130 at the moment, but that is going to be used up and used to construct all of this. Hopefully having enough beavers in this district crossing should help. We also have 10 in the other district crossing. It is a bit of a journey to get over here. It might make sense to try and bypass this route a little bit by going in this direction. I think it would only take a few of the zipline pylons, but we're going to hold off on that for now and focus on another project that we have going on, which is expanding our reservoir that we worked on a few episodes ago. And as you can see, we have the building blocks of the second part set up. We need to expand it in this direction, but we need to lower this area of the hill. And so first off, we have to get some of the dynamite placed down. And it also looks like we don't have any zip lines going over here. In order to speed up the building process, let's get some zip lines set up over here. Going back to our first district, you can see we have a lot of trees over here. They are all currently marked to be chopped down, but it looks like we are just completely maxed out on wood. We have 1.8 thousand in total. Basically, all of the storage is filled up. If we shift this path over just a little bit, then we'll have enough space to get a few more underground piles placed down. And oh my goodness, there are so many things that we're storing. But if we use the tab feature, then we can expand our wood storage over here. And then popping back over to Twigtop Ridge, we only have 3 unoccupied beds, even though we added 18 more with these houses. And overall, we're at 470 beavers. So we're just 30 away from hitting 500, which is fantastic news. During the last episode, we did address some of our beavers' well-being. But in this district, we're only at 20 well-being points versus overall we're at 36. So there is quite a big margin between this district and the other ones. So let's start thinking about what we want to do to help bump their well-being points up. We do have some more green space in the back here, thanks to some of the underground tunnels that we've constructed. And this one right here is specifically irrigated by the water that flows through the river over here. And so that should stay green during a good portion of the droughts and bad tides. So for now, I'm going to assume that this will always be irrigated. We probably want to get some irrigation barriers placed up over here, since during a bad tide, the bad water will flow down here. I'm guessing that some of the bad water effects will spread this way, and so it wouldn't hurt to get some of these contamination barriers placed down. We have some unemployed beavers, so we can unpause this farmhouse, and we can start looking at some other food that they can consume. Right now, we just have carrots and sunflowers over here. Getting some potatoes is a good idea. And we can also get some wheat planted down as well. That means we'll need a few food buildings, including a grill, a grist mill, and then also a bakery. Thankfully, the grill and the bakery do not require power. We will need to get some power set up for this grist mill, but we have a lot of space right here on top of the lake. And so if we get some platforms placed down, we'll need to go 2 levels deep. We can start with this small area first, and then we can get down a couple grills and then a couple bakeries. And unfortunately, I think the zip line does not jive with this bakery, so we can offset it just a little bit. But that should work out pretty well, since we can get a path right in between these buildings. One thing we should also do is get a third water pumper. We only have 127 water. And I think we also only have this medium water tank. Yeah, we only have 300 storage available for the water. We need to upgrade that right now. It looks like the large water tank will be able to fit under the zipline no problem. So we can place a couple of these down, make sure that we have them both set to water. And it looks like we do have quite a few builders. We have 4 builder sets here, plus we have the district center. And then I think we have another couple over here. So that's almost 30 builders in this district alone. And then utilizing the water crops would be great in this district. Only downside is that we don't have a whole lot of space. So we might kick that can down the road for now. But we can check on our other districts that are utilizing the water crops. And it seems like they are doing fantastic. Looks like they are maxed out. Both of them are maxed out on at least the spatter dock. They are still picking some of the cattail roots. But overall it looks like we're doing really well on the raw ingredients for the cattail roots and the spatter dock, as well as the grilled spatter dock and cattail crackers. In fact, you can see that this bot is actually not working. And we actually have quite an imbalance of bot workers and beaver workers. These seem like some jobs that we can switch to beavers, as well as maybe some of these farmhouse jobs as they're a little less dangerous, and considering we have so much food at the moment. And we have our zip lines that are placed down over here, plus we have our first batch of dynamite. Although I do see my first mistake in this, I accidentally removed the backside over here. So theoretically, if bad water were to come through here, which it will during a bad tide, it would actually start to fill this area up. I don't know if I intended to backfill it with these levees instead, but that is what we're going to do right here. And we have lots of hungry beavers, but they are powering through, placing down a lot of the dynamite. We also have a bunch of levees that we're going to be placing down. And it looks like we have almost filled up this reservoir. It is currently day 9, so theoretically if we did not have these blocks right here, then some of this water would start spilling out into this area and filling up our second reservoir. We might get a third mechanical pump, as I mentioned before. And oh my goodness, there's a lot of thirsty beavers. They do have enough water, so I don't know exactly why they're all thirsty. But we can keep an eye on our water levels. We have 1.2 thousand right now in the district of Beaverland Hills. And if that number starts to drop, then we'll probably need to replace these water pumps with another large one. Or we could always just turn them on if we needed some quick water access. And as cycle 25 begins to wrap up, we have a drought approaching in 3 days, and so it's a good thing we got some of these large water tanks constructed. We have just over 300 water, which is honestly not that much, so we are going to get another large water pump placed down. We can remove this gatherer flag since it is not necessary at the moment, and then make sure we prioritize the construction of this, and then also prioritize these buildings by haulers. Once the beavers eventually place down the dirt blocks over here, I want to get an agora placed down, since it takes up quite a bit of space and we do need to have it on the ground, and so we can actually squeeze it in right over here. We should also get some roofs placed on top of these houses and help get the beavers' well-being up. And then we can't forget about the monuments. Both of these are 2x2s, so we can fit one right here. We are a little bit short on planks at the moment, so we can get a farmer monument placed right here, and then down the road we can get the brazier of bonding placed down. Unfortunately, this only reaches about half of the houses over here. We probably need to have one placed on this side. That way the beavers over here can also get the benefit while they're resting. And with them having over 1,000 wood, it should go pretty quickly to construct these monuments. And we have reached the end of the power shafts. So now let's start digging our way upwards, and then also start planning on getting the bridge across this Badwater River. And we have started the process of making our way down here with the power shafts. And then we can extend them so that they go all the way across directly. We'll put the stairs on top of them, and then these power shafts can also double up on the path. And as we place down these few stairs, that should lead us all the way up here. We'll just need to make sure that we can prioritize the correct dirt blocks to get over here. But that will be a little tricky since, as you can see, the dirt blocks over here are going to be dependent on this wall of dirt that I have placed down. But we'll see if they can construct this section first. And then in the meantime, we can remove this platform and then start making our way up here. And the dirt has started. It is 9 days long. We are going to pause one of these water pumpers since we have 1.2 thousand water in Twigtop Ridge, but we don't want to pump all of the water out of here. We are going to reduce the workers back down to 2, I think that 2 workers was enough to sustain the beavers, but we have also been increasing the population, so we'll keep an eye on it. If it drops below 1,000, we may need to bump it back up to 3, but it all depends on how far into the drought we are. And the beavers have finished placing down a bunch of the dynamite over here. I had to do some slight rearranging over here since we had some platforms underneath the levees and it just was not allowing this area to be contained. And then the next big question is, how far do I want to push it over here? It would be pretty easy to end it right here, call it a day, make this the reservoir, and then get 1 or 2 water pumpers up in here. The downside of expanding is that evaporation will have more of an effect, and we'd probably need to add in a 3rd mechanical pumper. Something else that we will need to be aware of, with this whole power system, we have some gravity batteries up here, but it's only been just over 1 day, and we've already dropped almost 2,000 of the 16,000 HP. And at that rate, we are going to be pretty close to running out of power with these gravity batteries. So heading back over to Twigtop Ridge, this whole area will be a good spot to look at getting some more gravity batteries placed in, since they're all going to be tied into one power system. We can also work on expanding our storages. We'll get a couple of these large warehouses placed down. And we now have 0 baby beavers. We have 22 unemployed beavers in this district, and we have filled up every single bed here as well. We got to get some jobs for these beavers. The district of Bavaria also has a lot of unemployed beavers, so I'm going to place down another district crossing, and we're going to make sure we bump both of these all the way up to 10 workers. And hopefully having this second district crossing will allow us to get some more dirt into this district and help us construct the ridge a little bit quicker. We are currently maxed out on bread, so we can move bread into one of these warehouses, and we're also maxed out on grilled potatoes, so we can shift that as well. We can then change this medium warehouse. Instead of storing bread, we'll have it store cattail crackers, since it looks like we didn't actually have any storage in this district. And the beavers and bots of Beaverland Hills, they have finished constructing this part of the power shaft, and it is currently turning, which is fantastic. It means it is connected all the way back to these water wheels over here. And then we'll see how far they can actually reach. They might be able to reach this part of the overhang. In fact, we could even change the path just a little bit if we remove the path from right up here and then we place it in down here. They should be able to reach all of this, but it's just pretty inefficient to have the beavers and bots walk so far over here. They are able to utilize the zip lines, but it is still quite a journey. And we have a lot of bots who are sitting around. There is not a whole lot of construction stuff going on in this first district, so we are going to try something a little bit different. Since the first district is doing so well on resources, we have a lot of extra workers, plus we have a lot of workers sitting around. We're going to try and be more efficient to get over to the district crossings for Bavaria and Twigtop Ridge. And as you can see, the most direct route from the district center is going to be going straight over top here. But that will mean that we'll need to rearrange this zipline station. I have a space laid out for some more zipline stations, and so I can get that set up right now. But we will need to sever the connection to connect this one in, and then we'll need to get a pylon set up here, but also make sure that it can go far enough across this way without being too low to actually hitting these buildings. Although we will need to remove this part of the hill since it is directly in the way. And then we can also start from this side and start working our way back towards the hill. We will need to make a bridge going across in order to access all this area. And I marked all of these resources to be demolished. We have so many workers who are hopping over here. They're going to make quick work of this. And we are wrapping up day 18 of the cycle. We have 1.6 thousand water in Beaverland Hills, so we are not going down, which is fantastic. Let's check up on Twigtop Ridge now. And they are also not dropping. Still at 1.3 thousand. We have 2 workers, so that is good news. Their well-being is up to 24, so it's gone up a little bit, but I think we can do even better than that. It looks like we have some injured beavers. There might not be enough medical beds over here. Oh my gosh, we have so many injured beavers. Let's get a few more of these placed down. And I'm going to place down some platforms over here. I want to get a dance hall set up for these beavers, but as you can see, it takes up quite a bit of space. And I would also like to fit a Lido over here. If we just demolish out a 2x8 grid with another 1x1 grid to have a fluid dump placed down, then that should give us some constant access to water. In fact, we're going to do it a little bit differently. We're going to make it look pretty cool. We're going to build some levees around here, and then we'll have some elevated Lidos. We'll have 2 of them. That way we can get more benefit out of just one fluid dump. And if we actually remove this builder's hut, which is not completely essential. Then we can even expand it to have more than just the 2 lidos. We can have 3 or 4 over here. And then with all of these platforms, we will need to place down these impermeable floors. So there's a lot that we are working on over here. All of it is dependent on getting these overhangs constructed. There's a lot of logs and planks that they require. Thankfully we're doing pretty good on planks. We are running a little bit short on metal blocks. I'm guessing that having the second district crossing is going to help out a bit. And it looks like they did finish building the agora, so now they're chanting in here once again. And they're getting close to constructing all the dirt blocks over here. Looks like the beavers of Beaverland Hills have reached their limit since we don't have the path connected in. But let's make sure they can work on that right now and then do a quick switcheroo. You can see the water levels have dropped precipitously over this last drought, almost 2 entire tiles deep. And it does look like the irrigation effects have stopped right here. So let's take a look under the hood. Since the water is only, looks like if the water is not filled up to the top, then we cannot irrigate this area. So that is good to know. We might need to get a fluid dump set up here, or maybe have a secondary tunnel that provides some more irrigation. And unfortunately we have run out of power once again, but we're only 2 days from the drought being over. And it looks like the windmills actually just picked back up, so they're providing a little bit of power. Not quite enough to charge up the gravity batteries at all. And oh my goodness, they have maxed out on bread. They're doing pretty good on grilled potatoes. They're almost maxed out there. Looks like at least one of the grills is working. They're just a little bit short on raw potatoes. But maybe in this district we want to work on getting some vertical farming set up, since we do have quite a few beavers in this district. Looking at our beaver population, we have 474 occupied beds, and we do have only 4 unemployed beavers now, so it's dropped a bit from the 22 that it was earlier. And in Beaverland Hills we also have a lot of unemployed beavers, 27. Looks like we have some beavers who are sitting around. They finished placing down all the dynamite over here, and we can finally place down these last couple sets of levees. For now I'm just going to have it closed off right here, and then we can do a test run on seeing how much this fills up once we remove a couple of these blocks here. And then we can also get some water pumps established. And the drought is over. You can see the water is slowly starting to fill this area up. And then as it overtops, it'll irrigate the lands once again. And that is where we're going to wrap up today's episode. And that means that the next episode we will be at episode 20. And my goal is to hit 500 beavers by that episode. We are 26 beavers away from reaching 500. And it seems that all the districts are doing really well on beavers. In fact, we might have too many in some of them. So I'll probably need to set up a 4th district. We have this space that I set up several episodes ago, and I think it's time that we go ahead and utilize it. So if you enjoyed today's video, go ahead and hit that like button. It really does mean a lot to me. And if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe. And with that, we will see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.